Welcome to What's the 401 Sports. We are coming to you from the great borough of Brooklyn. I'm Keisha Wilson.
And I'm Mike McDonald.
It feels like spring has sprung already, and soon the leaves will come back and the flowers will blossom. But what's also blossoming is Steph Curry. This guy is out of control and just good. And even though he's really excelling, there seems to be a lot of criticism coming his way. The latest being from legendary player Oscar Robertson. When he's doing so well, why do you think that there's so many people aiming criticism at him?
You know, it's funny, Keisha. I've looked up and done some research on this myself. I think that there are people that don't like Steph Curry, and they can't figure out why. I've seen it. I've seen it on some of the internet reviews, on some of these blogs and everything. I think some of it is jealousy. I think that he's so smooth. He's such a great shooter. I think that the way that he's come into this league, people are still shocked and amazed that this guy is so good. I think as far as some of the old school players like Oscar Robertson, some of these other guys, what I think is that the way that they look at it is that the NBA is soft right now and they favor the offensive players. There's no hand checking. It's not that physical. And I think that how they look at this is that if Steph Curry were playing 25, 30 years ago, he wouldn't be able to do what he's doing. However, since he's such a great shooter with so much electricity on both ends of the floor, he is a pretty good defensive player too, and you can't doubt that. The guy is just so fun to watch, and for me, I don't hate at all. I really enjoy watching him play, especially what he did against OKC.
Oh my gosh. Have you seen the memes with Steph Curry? He's just shooting, he's like on Mars and shooting towards Earth, and that's just probably a normal shot for him.
Right, exactly.
I think there's a natural cynicism. I think I fall into it too. As much as I admire Steph Curry, I think he's almost too perfect. He is someone of just almost a normal physique. He's not built like a tank like LeBron. He's not 7 feet tall. He kind of looks like anybody you would see down the street. But he's got a killer shot. He's a family man. He's got great cute little kids and the wife, and so I'm always wondering, this is too perfect. What's wrong? There's some flaw, some fatal flaw with Steph Curry, but we just haven't found it yet. And I think in terms of where the criticism is coming from the older players, I think there is a worry about their legacy being overshadowed, because when you start talking about some of the greats, even for me, I'm a little older than some. When I think about greats, I start with Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson. Oscar Robertson and some of those players don't even register to me because that was way before my time. So I'm wondering if that is where a lot of this is coming from. And so we're going to move on from Steph Curry, and we're going to talk about Joe Johnson. He was recently waived by the Brooklyn Nets, and he was taken off waivers by the Miami Heat. Who's the winner in this deal?
I think both parties, I guess we have our Joe Johnson bobblehead right here. Whoa, sorry, Joe.
You just gave him an injury. Thanks.
Yeah. But, I think for the Heat, this is going to give them it's going to give them an upgrade offensively to have somebody that they can depend on who's going to give them maybe 10, 13 points a game, 14 points a game, something like that, because they do want to make a push for the playoffs. So I think that this is good for Miami. As far as the Nets, this is going to hurt short term, but we know the Nets are not that good right now. So what difference does it make? As far as how they're going to move into the future, this is going to free up some cap space. It's going to give them some opportunities to go after some high-priced free agents once it comes around. And as far as Joe Johnson's concerned, I'll just say really briefly, what a good run he had here in Brooklyn. He made and had some good contributions to some playoff teams. The guy was a class act. You never heard anything negative about Joe as far as maybe aside from what's happened with him in the locker room. No media stuff as far as him going out partying and everything like that. Very religious guy. Mm-hmm. And I think aside from maybe this season, he was a good presence in the locker room for this Brooklyn team.
But now he's going down to saucy Miami. I wonder how that's going to work out.
Right, that's true.
I think that the Heat are definitely the winners and Joe Johnson in this situation. Like you mentioned, the Heat will get a scorer that they needed due to injuries to Chris Bosh. And then also, it puts him on a contending team. He's in his 15th season. He doesn't have many more opportunities to play and really go for that championship. So he's going to be in the conversation for the championship run with the Heat. But what I find interesting is that he chose Miami over Cleveland. Cleveland was very, very interested. LeBron wanted him in Cleveland, but he chose Miami, and Cleveland is definitely the perennial favorites to come out of the East. And with that in mind, there's a lot of chaos under in the Cleveland Cavaliers locker room. Kyrie reportedly wants out of Cleveland. He wants no part of it. He's not really gelling with LeBron James. He's being forced to play a style of ball that he does not want to. Kevin Love. I mean, this team just seems to be just in a state of constant disarray. What do you think? What do you have?
I think that their future for this season and the way it's going to wind up, it's going to be exactly what happened last year. They're going to go ahead, they're going to win the Eastern Conference Finals, and then they're going to lose in the NBA Finals to the Golden State Warriors. I think as far as the locker room stuff, I think that there's no question that it was a mistake for the Cleveland Cavaliers to go ahead and get Kevin Love. I think that it hasn't necessarily been a good fit, and I think as far as, Kyrie Irving has had some injuries while he's been in Cleveland, but, the way that it's turned out for LeBron James, I think, despite the fact that he's come home to Cleveland, I think he's kind of looking back like, maybe I should have went ahead and I should have organized maybe some more NBA talent so that we could have set something up, because I don't know what's going on here with Cleveland, because we're not going to be able to win a championship. They're not going to win an NBA championship this year.
No, not with the way that they are in the locker room, which spills onto the court. So I think people are trying to build their teams like the Warriors. What they really need to do is figure out how they get that chemistry that the Warriors have, because that's what makes them great.
Well, it is NBA season, but as always, the NFL is king, and they're sucking up all of the oxygen. We just had the NFL Combine, Keisha, and as far as, what do you think as far as some of the players that we saw in the Combine, maybe the Giants or the Jets or some of these other teams could go out and take, and, do you think that the Combine days are numbered?
I don't think that the Combine will ever go away, because this is really a good opportunity for the NFL teams to scout talent, to get their draft boards together and figure out who's going to be available, who will fit their needs. So I don't think that the Combine will ever go away. But what I think should go away are these pro days, where they go to the individuals' colleges and they just toss the ball around. It doesn't really show anything to me. So I think they should get rid of that. And Mike, I have to admit, I have kind of been underwhelmed at this Combine. The biggest story going in was Joey Bosa, and he posted a disappointing score and time in the 40. But I don't think that's not even going to drop his stock very much. He's still going to be between number 1 and number 4. I think he's projected. So I think that's it. And I just, reading some of what's been going on, it's been a really underwhelming group of talent. They're saying that the tight ends are considered to be a bad group, and that was a quote by a college director. The wide receiver core, not fast enough, and so I'm just kind of underwhelmed, actually.
Yeah, I think we're both Giant fans, so we always point to the Giants. I think the way that they look at this is, for the good news for the Giants is that they do have a lot of cap space, and they can go out and maybe not only look in this draft, but maybe go out and get some high-priced free agents. But the bad news for the Giants is with this draft, they need help everywhere.
Right.
So the way that things are with the Giants, just briefly, I wanted to ask you, Keisha. We did mention that the Green Bay Packers, Mike McCarthy was looking in agreement that they should go ahead and shorten the NFL preseason from 4 to 3 games. But what I wanted to ask you about was Tom Brady going ahead and making this statement that he wants to play until he's 45 years old. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's pretty ambitious, but look, he's 38, 39 years old, and he has been playing extremely well. It's almost like he turned back the fountain of youth. And if he has a great offensive line, I mean, they're going to need to shore that up, because he was hitting the dirt. His uniform is getting dirty, and he cannot make it to 45 if he does not have a great offensive line behind him. So if his career is projecting the way it is, I don't see why he can't play for 45, because it just goes to show that he is a young 39 in comparison to Peyton Manning, who was kind of just really deteriorating for our eyes. So go Tom Brady. If he could do it, go for it.
I hope he does. I mean, I'm not a Tom Brady fan. I'm not a New England fan, but I would like to see this guy go ahead. He's one of the best to ever do it. There's no question about it. And if he's got the confidence that he can play that much longer, I think it would be interesting.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
Welcome back to What's the 411 Sports. Now, as much as I do not want to talk about this person, this team, I must. Mike, you've got Tony Romo news. What's going on with him?
Yeah, it looks like Tony Romo is going to go ahead and have a plate inserted into his collarbone. Doesn't really sound very something that I would like to do, but if you're going to be playing professional football and people are going to be beating you up all the time, probably a wise decision for Tony Romo to go ahead and do this. I think with Tony Romo, though, his days are numbered. Unlike Tom Brady, who's thinking about maybe playing till he's 45 years old.
Yeah.
You know, Tony Romo has taken a lot of hits over the years. And I think with Tony Romo, he's had a great career. People didn't expect him to come out like this. Remember when he came up with Bill Parcells over 10 years ago now? And he has had a good career, but I think right now it's all about having one last shot, right? It's all about him getting that one last shot to take Dallas to a Super Bowl, try to win that Super Bowl, which we don't know. I mean, we don't know how good, how much he does have left in the tank, but I don't think it's that much.
I mean, injuries have been the big problem with Tony Romo, and he's 36, younger than Tom Brady, but I think he's probably 45 age-wise because of the amount of the beatings and the injuries he's taken, because not only he have back issues, but he's broken this collarbone, the same collarbone, 3 different times since 2010 and twice in 2015. So the Cowboys management is really insistent that Tony Romo is their guy for the next 4 to 5 years. So if that's the case, he needs this surgery. I don't think that he could really perform on the field with anything less. So this is supposedly going to make his collarbone stronger, and so maybe more durable to being pounded in the dirt by my Giants defense.
Exactly. In other quarterback news, Colin Kaepernick looks like his days have not only been numbered for a long time, but he wants to get out of there immediately from San Francisco. The Cleveland Browns, the Houston Texans are a couple teams that are in the mix, but how about the New York Jets? You know, this is a team, I know we all know that they have Ryan Fitzpatrick, but maybe bringing in Colin Kaepernick would be a pretty good fit for them if they were to bring him in as the backup quarterback, maybe try to see if he could take over that number 1 spot. Do you agree that Jet fans maybe should want to go ahead and get Colin Kaepernick? Or
the thing is that, one, I don't think that Colin Kaepernick, if he has any decision power, is going to want to come to the Jets and be a backup. I don't think he wants to be a backup anywhere. He feels as though he's been gypped by being passed over by Blaine Gabbert. He really believes that he was the better talent, and he should have been starting for the 49ers. So I don't think that he is going to want to go somewhere and take a backseat to anybody. The Jets would be a good position for him, but I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick, look, he's done a really great job. Even though he's older, but he has built this chemistry with Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker, and I don't think that you really want to mess up that chemistry. So, and also the problem with Kaepernick is that there's been issues about his work ethic and how committed he is to really perfecting his craft. There's been times, it's been reported that he's usually the first one out of the locker room. As soon as practice is over, he's hightailing out of it, where he should really be watching films. He should be working on his accuracy. Part of the reason why he wants out is because he doesn't have control of that locker room. And so he needs to go. And I don't think that you want to bring that to the Jets, especially after coming off the Geno Smith, and I don't even know how to pronounce the man's name. I'm so sorry, IK Impali. I'm sorry, Mister, if I'm butchering your name, but you're coming off of that incident, and I don't think that you want to bring an element that can be divisive in Colin Kaepernick. So, Colin, you're headed out of San Francisco. I hope you land somewhere that makes you happy and get in that film room and start practicing. So we're going to talk about some college news, but in relationship to Peyton Manning. So over the past week or two, there's been a storm brewing around the University of Tennessee and the athletic department. And Peyton Manning's name had been mentioned because an incident back in 1996 is part of a current lawsuit. But we thought this was just kind of going to be mellow and let the courts take control. But we've got some new additions. So 2 more plaintiffs have joined the case in the lawsuit against the University of Tennessee. And then also there was, in court documents, a former player by the name of Dre Bowles claimed that he was a victim of abuse by his teammates because he helped one of the victims who alleged that she was sexually assaulted. He helped her, I guess, waited with her when the police came, and one of his teammates found out, punched him in the face. He went to the coach, the Dre Bowles, and he said the coach said he was disappointed in him and called him a traitor. University of Tennessee, Coach Jones says, he would never do such a thing. What do you think is going to happen with University of Tennessee? I mean, things just keep developing.
More and more stories keep coming out. I think that there can be some violations. I don't know exactly. It's not like with basketball where you're automatically, suspended from going ahead and playing in March Madness. With college football, you're not allowed to show up in bowl games. However, as far as the University of Tennessee is concerned, these stories just keep coming out and coming out. To me, the big thing with Tennessee is that this team was right up there with Florida in the mid '90s. I know they had Peyton Manning that won a national championship with T. Martin, but if you look at the University of Tennessee the last 15 years, they haven't been able to stack up with Florida, Alabama, Auburn, even Georgia, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, all these teams in the SEC. They at least go ahead and compete. Tennessee makes bowl games, but with like a barely 500 in the Southeastern Conference.
Right.
What I want to see from Tennessee is that they can get past this and try to improve that football program. It's going to be hard now because there is a good chance that they're going to get some violations with everything that's going on. And all this hoopla, it just doesn't help them at all.
Do you think Coach Jones makes the cut?
No, I think the guy needs to go. Automatically, the guy has to go.
All right. Well, stay tuned because we're going to talk about New York slugger Yoenis Cespedes and what he's doing to cause a stir. Stay tuned.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks.
Thank you for staying with us at What's the 411 Sports. New York Mets outfielder Yoenis Cespedes is styling and profiling as he goes to Mets training camp. Is this no big deal, or is the media just making a big deal out of nothing?
They're making a big deal out of Cespedes. He came in today on a horse.
I love it. Love it.
And I think what this is doing in Port St. Lucie right now, the Mets, first of all, Met fans, they're getting used to handling this because they're not used to the Mets coming into a season where they're the contender. They're contending for a title this season.
I know.
So this is really new for them. But in late February, early March, people are looking things to talk about. And as far as the Mets are concerned, this should be an exciting time for them. I think Cespedes, yes, the guy's looking for a lot of attention. Mm-hmm. We all know that.
Of course.
And he's going to have to back it up with some numbers. But to me, I don't think that the media I think that they're just looking for something to talk about. And I think that Cespedes is giving them something to talk about last week with all the cars and then today arriving in camp with a horse.
Well, I mean, he brought in all these different kinds of horsepower before. You might as well just bring in the horse.
Exactly.
It's great. That's what you do. You make a splash. I mean, I don't know. It's something that brings attention. So is the media not supposed to talk about it? So, I mean, he's doing what he's doing. If you got it, flaunt it, I guess. I mean, those who can do, the others watch and talk about it. I want to ride in one of those little fancy rides he's got.
Right.
Maybe I could just ride it and park it right here,
Exactly.
Having in style.
Yeah,
right?
Better than the R train. Well, according to Bloomberg News, there's actually some very good news coming to Brooklyn. And as we all know, the Nets have not been putting out a good product this season. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that the Nets have been playing so poorly. But coming into next season, the Nets are going to lower their ticket prices up to 24%. What's your take on that, Keisha?
I always love a good savings, because, look, times are tough. And you want to keep going in your pocket to watch what? The Nets have not really, like you said, they have not given us anything really to root about. Actually, the games that I've gone to, I think most people go to the Nets to see the other team because heard chants of "Go Spurs, go!" and "Go Heat, go!" Anybody but the Nets. When they try to get the Nets fans going, it's just like. So I guess this will maybe, hopefully, get more people in the seats. But again, if you're not giving a good product, cheaper tickets. I mean. I just get to go for cheaper. Now, I hope this includes the tickets where you get all the food, because I'm a foodie, and some of that food stand food over there is, it's magnificent.
Absolutely. I think a lot of this comes down to Sean Marks. He's got his pressure on him. He's got to go ahead and bring some players in. But I think this is good news for New York. We've seen a lot of teams in New York City struggle over the course of the last 5, 10, 15 years, whatever. And no one, not the Jets, not the Giants, or any of these teams, Mets, Yankees, they will never, ever, or the Knicks, lower their prices. And I think that it's good that the Nets have gone ahead and done this, even though they've been playing so poorly. I think it's good news for Kings County.
Yeah, but it's also an interesting phenomenon because even when the Knicks stink, those seats are filled. I don't even know why it is. I mean, maybe it's just the glitz and glamour of Manhattan, getting on the Jumbotron. I don't know, seeing Jerry Seinfeld or something. I don't know. But when we come back, we're going to talk about stories that are flying under the radar, so stay tuned.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to energy-saving bulbs. Saving energy saves you money.
Welcome back to What's the 411 Sports, and now we will talk about stories that are not getting the attention that they should, and that brings us to the Zika virus and the Summer Olympics. The local businesswoman in Rio de Janeiro says that she contracted the Zika virus 2 miles outside of one of the Olympic sites. Mike, Rio and the Summer Olympics, this story is just, it keeps on giving right now.
It does, and if I'm an American athlete, or if I'm any athlete, I'm going to be very cautious about going to Brazil. I think everything's going to be sorted out. But we talked about the water a couple shows ago, and now here with the Zika virus scare. I think people need to be aware of that, but I still think Brazil's a great country. I've never been there, but I've heard great things from everyone. I know that they love their soccer. I know that this is something that they should be very excited about, and I think that even though that it's gotten some negative publicity over the course of the last couple of months, I think that everything will be sorted out. I think Rio de Janeiro, I think everything that they've done to go ahead and get this Olympics, they should still be excited, and hopefully we can move past. And this Zika virus scare, I hope we can get past it, because I will be excited about these Summer Olympics when they finally do arrive.
I think you're looking forward to the women in the bikinis. I don't know. Those legendary Brazilian women. Look, you know what? Right now, I've never been to Rio. I've heard great things about it, but right now, I'm thinking that they're like that used car salesman. They promised you a Bentley. They showed you the shiny package, and then you lifted up the hood, and it's all parts from the Pinto. Because when they did the bid to host the Olympics, they said that one, the water would not be an issue, and we're about 5 months away, and the water's still a mess. Now they have the Zika virus scare, and they are telling everybody what they want to hear, that it's not going to be an issue, but it's something that they should be concerned about. And I just read that they're actually charging the Olympic delegates to install protective screens.
The big story this week, and even last week as well, has been former ESPN commentator, and now she works for Fox. She works for a couple other agencies, Erin Andrews, and this, she is suing the hotel where this video was taken, where she was she was naked, and they had this video, and over 70 million people have seen this video. She is now suing the hotel for millions and millions of dollars. What's your take on the Erin Andrews situation?
Oh, I really feel for her. I mean, it's such a violation. I can't even imagine what goes through the mind of somebody who does this to someone else. She is in her hotel room, which she is expected to have some privacy, and to have that violated in the way that it was violated. Allegedly, her stalker called the hotel and requested to have a room next to her, next to hers. And it's not quite clear if how they confirm, what way they confirmed that she was staying at the hotel, but they, in essence, welcomed this stalker to come in and to have it broadcasted and just be violated again. I just really feel for her. And, her father said that she hasn't been the same since that incident. And I don't even know how you can be. And she's still emotional about it to this day. And I just hope it all works in her favor. I mean, nothing can undo what was done. No amount of money can get back that trust that was violated. But maybe it'll do some type of consoling for her, some kind of vindication.
The argument that the hotel is now saying is that, and this is crazy, but what they're saying is that this peephole video that was shot now almost 10 years ago has actually helped her career.
Oh, good grief.
They're saying that it brought her onto America with the Dancing with the Stars, and it's helped give her some publicity for commercials and things like that. Look, whether or not this video has aided her career, that's insignificant. The point is that, as you said, her privacy was violated. And that's something that when 70 million people have seen you naked and you didn't want them to,
right?
It's not like with Kim Kardashian where she made a sex tape and she wanted to sell it.
Exactly.
The mother went out and sold it.
Right.
This is a little bit different, and I know that there's a difference between making a sex tape and making having a peephole video taken of you. But I think that I still have to have some sympathy for Erin Andrews. I can't imagine what she's going through right now.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to energy-saving bulbs. Saving energy saves you money.
Welcome back to What's the 411 Sports. Each week, we put people who are behaving badly on the bench, and sometimes in the doghouse. This week, with a heavy heart, I put Duke guard Grayson Allen on the bench for what appears to be an intentional trip of Florida State player Xavier Mays. I didn't want to have to do it. Mike, please talk.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, as far as him going ahead and do this. Now, Mike Krzyzewski said that he was happy that there wasn't a 1-game suspension. As far as I'm concerned, the kid should have been kicked out of the game, and they should have given him a 1-game suspension for what he did. There's no excuse for what he did. I thought that it was this is the second incident that he's done something like this. And you're going to get things that, look, he should have received a 1-game suspension. It's going to continue. It's going to get worse. I think that he's a great ball player. I don't know what his NBA promise is. I don't know how good he's going to be at the next level. But as a sophomore at Duke right now, this kid has been sensational. He's going to lead Duke on a nice long tournament run. We all know that.
I hope.
But what he did was so disrespectful. He's tripping the kid, and he tried to be smooth and nonchalant about it. You can't be smooth and nonchalant about trying to trip somebody. And the fact that he's facing no repercussions, no consequences whatsoever, I think is very, very disturbing.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks.
Welcome back to What's the 411 Sports. I hope you have your pen and paper ready because here's what's happening in our pipeline.
That's right. For all you golf fans, the Davis Cup is coming up this weekend. That should be pretty exciting.
4!
And then, of course, the conference tournaments and the NCAA basketball will be coming up in Brooklyn at Barclays Center. We do have the Atlantic 10 tournament, and I think that there's another conference tournament that comes to New York.
The Big East is coming to Madison Square Garden from the March 9th to March 12th. The games will air on Fox. The Nets will continue their West Coast trip, and all the games will be airing on the Yes Network. And the Knicks will begin their road trip up until March 19th. And when they're on the road, they will be facing the likes of the Warriors and the Clippers.
Ooh, that's not going to look good.
Yeah, Chef Curry with that shot, boy. Well, it's about that time that we say goodbye to all of you, our viewing friends. But until next week, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, friend us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all at 411 Sports TV. I'm Keisha Wilson.
And I'm Mike McDonald.
Thanks for tuning in this week, and we look forward to seeing you for next week.